Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys figure preview video. Before we begin, I have to say a massive thank you to Ryan Kirkwood. This time, I was actually there with him in person at ACGHK Hong Kong's version of Comic-Con, so I got to see the dude work, and he is an absolute weapon with a camera. Show him some love in the comments below. Without him, this series and this video, in fact, literally wouldn't be possible. Hot Toys. First of all, thank you. You have fixed Spider-Man 2099. Or have you? A couple of people still aren't happy with this guy, and we'll get into that, I promise. We'll talk about the pros and the cons to this new design. I just want to say that Hot Toys taking into account feedback and making a change as drastic as this is, that just goes to show that I think they do care what we have to say, and I appreciate that. This thing, to me, looks a hell of a lot better than the original version, with all the joints showing. And the joints weren't the only issue, they were a big problem, but having the matte paint that could scuff up very easily, the one on display was quite literally scuffed, thanks to all of the joints rubbing into that matte finish. Then the joints themselves being sculpted poorly and not integrated well. When you do a jointed figure like the SH Figuarts version of Spider-Man 2099, it can look really good, and it can look almost seamless. Having all of that sculpted texture in the surface, that helps the aesthetic. Hot Toys didn't do any of that. Their joints, because they aren't experienced with doing fully jointed stylized characters like this, just didn't look right, because that's not in their wheelhouse. That is not their thing. Everyone gets into Hot Toys for different reasons, but their mission statement has always been making the most realistic, seamless, clothed figures possible. That way you can put X character, whether it's Spider-Man 2099 or Terminator, on your coffee table in your display. Look, I don't want to sound all preachy, far be it from me to state Hot Toys' mission statement. They have done that themselves multiple times. Howard Chan and JC Hong have echoed all of those sentiments I just mentioned. This is the right call for Hot Toys. If this was another company way more experienced in doing fully articulated exposed joint figures like Mondo, then okay, maybe they could have done it so much better and had exposed joints and captured the look from the film. They're experts at doing that. That's their thing. Their jointed figures look so much nicer than the Hot Toys fully exposed jointed version of Spider-Man 2099. This is up Hot Toys' alley. This is their wheelhouse. I love this new version of 2099. It's not like the suit is devoid of detail either. They've added so much more onto the surface of the suit because they don't have to worry about joints breaking things up like the spider symbol on the chest. They can have it continue all the way down, and they've got panel lines on top of that, and they've got the UV reflective texture, and they've got a metallic finish. So at first glance, maybe it looks a little bit pajama suity. Up close, I promise you, this is a visually striking and visually interesting Spidey figure. As well as an accurate Spidey figure, this now doesn't have cuts everywhere. The silhouette is not the most important thing when it comes to a figure. Yes, it is important, so too are proportions. But the look, matching what we see on screen, say what you will about the original version, the proportions were great. No question, he was big and bulky and muscular. He had cuts everywhere. I do not remember, in the film, if we're talking about realistic style figures matching the source material, him having cuts all over his body. That's going maybe a little bit deep into the weeds, I understand. That's just my point of view. You don't have to agree with me. That's just how I see it. Going seamless, still retaining that silhouette and the proportions. They nailed this. He's still big, he's still bulky, he's still boxy. You can see the harsh edges on his shoulders, around his back for the muscles. The chest even, you can make out the ab definition. The collarbone is very sharp and striking. So you haven't lost any of the detail or the hard edges with the suit. It's rounded out certain sections in a good way. The biceps, for example, you can still see that sharp edge along the top, but around the front, no longer are there jagged little cuts for the elbow joints. It now is nice and smooth. Like I said, rounded out in a good way. He still retains the massive signature Spider-Man 2099 arm/forearm spikes. They are very big, They are very striking, and now that the suit is fabric, I wouldn't be surprised if you can rotate them around, glued onto the surface of the fabric suit. If you want them on top of the forearm, then you should be able to just grab the fabric and rotate the entire thing. Now this head sculpt, it remains unchanged from the first version. That's fine. I never had a problem with the head sculpt the first time round. The shape, the nice pointy chin, the very sharp, defined jawline, the boxy look to the top of the head, and the articulation. You can see there is a shelf at the back of the head sculpt where it sticks out over the neck. That means you should be able to angle the head sculpt all the way forward. If you want him lunging towards Miles in the display, well, that should hopefully enable you to do that. And from the front, that shelf, it won't be visible anyway, not such a big deal. The paint applications, on point. The red color match between the suit, the fabric parts, and the head sculpt, even though one is plastic and one is this rubbery material. Perfect. Same thing with the metallic blue. It's got this metallic flake to it, this deep, rich, nice, punchy look, and they've screen printed those patterns over the top of that metallic blue. The match, like I said, with the red, it's perfect. I have no complaints with any of the color matching here, whether it's the spikes, whether it's the hands compared to the suit, or the head sculpt compared to the suit as well. Unfortunately, at ACGHK, they didn't have the Miguel head sculpt on display. I would have loved to have seen it in person so I could have given you my honest opinions in front of it, looking at it, rather than just looking at pictures. Still, they're probably making some tweaks and changes, that way it better matches the look of the suit as it is now, versus potentially the first version might not have fit on the body so well. I don't know, I'm just speculating at this point. We will have to wait and see when this guy eventually releases. Or if he pops up at another convention, then maybe they'll have the Miguel head sculpt on display. Right now, super happy with the updates. Also, quite curious to hear what y'all have to think. A lot of y'all agreed with me with my comments the first time round. Some of y'all said that was my villain origin story because I swore for the second time only ever on my channel. Maybe that's the case. Is this my redemption arc because I now like the figure? I don't know. This figure is really cool looking now with the fabric suit. I cannot wait to add it into the collection. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.